Hey everyone. So, we all like to use YouTube to learn Spanish. That's why you're even watching this video. You found me because you're looking for Spanish content or Spanish instruction on YouTube. And it's a great place to learn from a lot of people. But in this video, I want to tell you why YouTube Spanish teachers are sometimes wrong. A few ways that they're wrong. I want you to forget some of the rules that you've heard on YouTube from Spanish teachers. I want you to forget some of the things you've been told. And my goal is to help you to stop feeling guilty about some of the things you were told never to do. So let's start with number one. I'll just tell you right up front, it's okay to learn vocabulary out of context. So, not every single word you learn has to be within a sentence, even though you were told to always learn within context of a sentence. What I'm telling you is that it's okay. If you want to learn a list of vocabulary words by repetition, that's okay. That's fine. You can do that for a while, let's say a week, and at the end of that week, you're gonna know those words. You're gonna remember them, even though they weren't in context. You can learn from a list. You can learn from flashcards. The fact is, it's not necessary to learn words like gato or hermano in the context of a sentence. You don't need context all the time to learn things like the months of the year or the days of the week. So, this is especially applicable when you're first learning Spanish. Not everything has to be in context of a paragraph or a sentence or a situation. It can just be a list. And I'll say this too, it's okay to learn the infinitives for verbs in that same way. So that's point number one. It's okay to learn vocabulary out of context, even though you were told not to do that. And I'll leave you on this point with a few questions. Is repetition an additional way for your brain to learn? The answer is yes. Will learning by just rote memory and repetition make you less fluent? The answer is no. And finally, if you make a flashcard deck with index cards and you review them for a week and you have someone quiz you, will you have learned a bunch of words? And the answer is simply yes. It's a time proven method. It will work. It's okay to do that. The second thing I want to tell you, and this is the most controversial probably, so let me know in the comments if you disagree, but it's okay to use Duolingo. I don't use it, but a lot of people have used it and they started out in their Spanish journey with Duolingo. And I will tell you, don't feel inferior, don't feel like less than if you've done that. Duolingo is not perfect. It's not the best app. I wouldn't even say it's a good app. It's okay. But what I will say in its favor is that it can teach you some core concepts. It can help you learn some essential vocabulary. And it will help you build a basic foundation that you can then build further upon, you can improve upon later. It's a good starting point. So if you heard that it was limited or not a real way to become fluent, that's right. But if you're a beginner, you need a way to get your feet wet, and Duolingo does that. It's good for that. So I don't hate Duolingo, but it's not the be all end all app. It's just a beginning point, and it's okay for that. And if you've used Duolingo, don't feel bad. It's fine. Now let's move on to the third point, and it's this. It's okay to learn slowly. If you've looked at Spanish or just language learning content on YouTube for any length of time, you've seen these videos where somebody supposedly has learned Spanish or even Chinese or some other language in a very short amount of time, like a month or weeks or 3 months. Even if somebody's done this in a year, that's not all of us. If you're like me and you've watched these videos, you might have felt like a hopeless case. And I want to tell you, don't worry. It's okay if you're not like these videos, these people on these videos. It's okay to learn slowly. And here's the secret about those videos. Either one of three things happened with that YouTuber who had this ultra fast journey to fluency. Either they were an exceptional case, they were a Spanish prodigy or an Italian language prodigy or whatnot, and that's rare. Or they had an advantage that they did not mention, that maybe they already knew a Romance language. So perhaps they spoke Portuguese already and then they were learning Spanish. Well, it's going to be a lot easier. They're going to have a lot of advantages in that respect. Or the third possibility, if you've seen one of those videos and it seemed too good to be true, or it seemed like it was impossible, is they might have just been lying. There is a lot that can be done with creative editing, and they might have been trying to get views. My point is you can't judge yourself based on someone else. Okay, if you've seen a video where somebody's done something amazing, maybe good for them, but you don't have to expect yourself to perform to that level. If you're not a prodigy, expect your Spanish language learning journey to take months at minimum. But in reality, it's probably going to take years. If you want to get to a comfortable level, a few years. And if you want to become fluent, you might not ever get there, or it might take the rest of your life. That's the reality, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if that reality is okay with you, just accept it, and you might be able to learn Spanish. Okay, if you're all right with a year or years, then there's hope for you, because that's how it is for the vast majority of people. If you want instant results, however, you probably won't get far. This is something that takes time, and that's the reality of it. So it's okay to learn slowly. Number 4, it's okay if you're not always doing comprehensive listening. This is a big one. You probably have heard all about comprehensive listening and its importance. So I want to immediately say one of the most helpful things you can do is comprehensive listening. And if you really want to do a lot, you really want to learn a lot quickly, try to translate a Spanish language song. Find a song you like on Spotify or YouTube, and first just sit down and write down what you think you heard. Then listen again, look up the letras for the song, and write down the actual lyrics in a notebook or something, and skip a line in between each line of the lyrics. Then use a dictionary or use an app to translate every word and every phrase. My guarantee to you is that you will learn those words and those ideas in the song and the phrases in the song inside and out. So that's the ideal thing to do. That's comprehensive listening. After you've done that and then listen to the song again, you have absorbed every part of it. But here are the problems with that. It's not fun. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of brain power. And the big thing is you can't do comprehensive listening like that while you're driving, while you're jogging, while you're working out, while you're walking your dog with your earbuds in. That's the reality of this point, is you're not always going to be able to do comprehensive listening. So if we're going to be real, there are a lot of times you just want to sit down and watch a show, or you just want to listen to some music or a podcast, and you don't want it to be work. You just want to hear the words, and you want to try to enjoy what you can understand. So I give you permission to do that. It's okay. It's okay if you're not always doing comprehensive listening. Number 5. This is going to also be a bit of a controversial one, I think, but it's okay if you're not consistent with your practice. Now, at this point, I think some people might shut me off because I'm definitely wrong, right? It is not okay if you are inconsistent. Well, think about this. And I'll agree with you. There are no secrets to learning Spanish, but if there was one secret of gaining fluency, it's probably consistency. 15 minutes a day, or even 5 minutes a day of consistent practice or consistent review is absolutely necessary. That is the one way to get good. But again, let's get real. The reality of our lives is, first of all, none of us is perfect. So consistency is hard. 100% of the time to practice every single day. We all are going to have days we miss. Things come up in life, or maybe you wake up and you just don't feel that day is not a good day. You don't feel like practicing. You don't feel like learning. You just want to zone out in front of the TV watching a show in English, for instance. Have you ever been there? I've been there. Well, guess what? We all have those days. It happens to all of us. And you miss sometimes. There are going to be times you need a break. So here's the thing. You don't want to burn out. You don't want Spanish to not be fun. One thing that I always tell myself is stop before it's not fun. So have consistency when you can, but watch for burnout, because the other part of learning Spanish is not just consistency, but it's motivation. You have to stay motivated. You have to like what you're doing. So if your motivation is waning and you think, I have to be consistent, just stop. Give yourself a break. Let yourself fall in love again with Spanish. It might take a few days, it might take a day. Take a break and resume your routine after that. Nobody is going to come down on you. It's your own guilt, if anything, that's going to come down on you. But don't feel guilty if you're not 100% consistent. We all have those days. Just get back on to your schedule after you take a break, because it's important to stay motivated and keep it fun if you can. So that was it. Those are the 5 things that I wanted you to know about Spanish that you probably won't hear from a lot of teachers online. And you'll see I wasn't really disagreeing with a lot of what you hear, but I wanted to give you a different take on it and a different way to think about it. So that's it. I hope these ideas helped you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So let me know in the comments.